We're currently existing during a global crisis, a pandemic which has run rampant across the world, spreading to anyone who comes into contact with it. This in turn has forced all of us to self-isolate, stay indoors, and protect ourselves and our loved ones. However, though we are staying safe, there are many negative side effects to isolation. So today on Top 5 Scary Videos, I'm going to be counting down our list of the top 5 scary effects of self-isolation. Before we begin though, be sure to stick around until the end of the video where I'll be responding to some of your comments. And with that, let's jump in. Coming in at number 5, we have loneliness. Now this is the most obvious point on our entire list, considering the fact that loneliness is an emotional response to isolation. As we all know, during this time we are required to stay inside unless for any essential needs such as medical attention or food. Not to mention all non-essential businesses have been closed, resulting in people either working from home or losing their jobs. At any rate, we're all at home and a lot of us are alone because sadly another rule that is currently in place is social distancing, which requires us to distance ourselves from others unless of course we live with them. However, if you live alone, this can be incredibly detrimental to the mind and can cause immense loneliness in a person. The best way to combat this loneliness is to reach out to the ones you love via social media or FaceTime. Communication is still available, we are lucky in that sense. Stand outside, wave to your neighbor, take up a hobby. Loneliness may not go away, but it can be alleviated. Communication is key during a time like this, but just remember, we are all going through this together. You're not alone. Coming in at number 4, we have dementia. Now, leading on from our previous point, some researchers have found that being lonely or socially isolating yourself can negatively affect your well-being. In turn, this can increase the risk of illnesses due to inflammation, such as cardiovascular disease and even dementia. Inflammation is when your body tells your immune system to produce chemicals to fight off infection or injury. This can also occur when you experience psychological or social stress. So saying that dementia is a potential illness that could be linked to self-isolation. Dementia is a broad category of brain diseases that cause a long-term and often gradual decrease in the ability to think and remember that is severe enough to affect daily functioning. Other symptoms of dementia include emotional problems, difficulties with language, and a decrease in motivation. Now, there is no cure for dementia, however, inhibitors such as donepezil are often used and may be beneficial in mild to moderate disorders. Globally, it is said that dementia affects around 46 million people, with about 10% of people developing the disorder at some point in their lives. In 2013, dementia resulted in about 1.7 million deaths, and as more people are living longer, dementia is becoming far more common, with it being one of the most common causes of disability among the old. Coming in at number 3, we have heart disease. Also known as cardiovascular disease, this leads on from our number 4 point, with inflammation leading to other diseases such as heart disease. Now, cardiovascular disease, also known as CVD, is a class of diseases that involve the heart or blood vessels. CVD includes coronary artery diseases such as angina and myocardial infarction, also known as a heart attack. Other CVDs include stroke, heart failure, hypertensive heart disease, rheumatic heart disease, cardiomyopathy, abnormal heart rhythms, valvular heart disease, and aortic aneurysms. Now, the underlying mechanisms vary depending on the disease. These may be caused by high blood pressure, smoking, diabetes, lack of exercise, obesity, high blood cholesterol, poor diet, and excessive alcohol consumption. Now, as we know, being in self-isolation, it is hard to maintain a healthy lifestyle. Some people are treating it as a vacation, drinking more, eating whatever we want, and of course not working out. Whereas others are depressed, and with that comes coping mechanisms, not always the healthiest coping mechanisms. It is easy to smoke more, it's easy to drink more, and it's easy to eat more because you're not doing anything else. Self-isolation is difficult and takes a lot of self-control, but it is possible. We just have to take care of ourselves so that when this is over, we can lead a healthy and happy life. Coming in at number 2, we have depression. As most will know, depression is a state of low mood and aversion to activity. It can affect a person's thoughts, behavior, motivations, feelings, as well as a sense of well-being. It may feature sadness, difficulty in thinking and concentration, and a significant increase or decrease in appetite and time spent sleeping. Now, as you would expect, a lot of people are suffering from depression, especially during this global pandemic. It's an incredibly difficult adjustment to go from living a regular life to being forced to stay inside and to distance yourself from other people. Like I said before, this leads to loneliness, which can lead to depression. It is hard to stay positive during a time like this, with people spending a lot of their day sleeping. This quickly becomes the norm, spending time in bed, struggling to get dressed, maybe even struggling to eat. These are all side effects of depression. Essentially, depression refers to the loss of interest and a loss of feeling pleasure in certain activities that usually bring joy to people. I, for one, suffer from depression, and self-isolating has worsened my mood tenfold. It is hard to stay positive when there is no end in sight, and it is even harder to make an effort when you never leave your home. But saying that, an end will come, it's inevitable, and we will all return to living a normal life in time. It just takes some adjustment, but it is possible. It's easy to stay positive, but that doesn't help everything. But doing small things every day can make a big difference. Getting dressed, making breakfast, getting fresh air, these are all small things that can ease your low mood ever so slightly. It's not a cure, but it's a start. And finally, coming in at number 1, we have suicidal thoughts. Leading on from our previous point, with severe depression comes suicidal thoughts, and this is of course in extreme cases, but it happens. Suicidal ideation, also known as suicidal thoughts, is thinking about considering or planning to commit suicide. Now, most people who have suicidal thoughts do not go on to make suicide attempts, but suicidal thoughts are considered a risk factor. During 2008 to 2009, an estimated 8.3 million adults aged 18 and over reported having suicidal thoughts in the previous year. Now, suicidal ideation is generally associated with depression and other mood disorders, including bipolar disorder. However, it seems to have associations with many other mental disorders, life events, and family events, all of which may increase the risk of suicidal ideation. Now, as I said in the previous number, many people are suffering from circumstantial depression with this ongoing global pandemic, and depending on the severity of it, this may lead to suicidal thoughts. Sadly, there is no treatment for those experiencing suicidal thoughts. However, as I said in the previous number, it's making small changes in your daily routine that could make a huge difference. Now, I know everything is easier said than done, and I'm not going to preach a message when I have no right to do so. All I can say is, as someone who has crippling depression, bipolar disorder, these things have helped me. Small changes, little things that can ease my struggles, and of course, reaching out to people, especially during a time like this. Well, there we have it. Do you guys agree with our list? Were there any effects of self-isolation that we missed? Leave us all your thoughts and feelings in the comments down below. Before I go though, I just want to respond to a few comments from one of our last videos. Top 5 scary forgotten horror movies from the 2010s. Sally Canal said, "The fact that you're still uploading videos is very much appreciated. Us horror nerds needs creepy content to continue. Cheers, Miss Lucy." You are very, very welcome. Prep for It said, "I love Attack the Block, it deserves much more recognition." I couldn't agree more, it's one of my favourite British horror movies. Eternal Communism 1974 said, "Lucy McPhee, your voice will forevermore haunt my dreams whenever I close my eyes." Good. That was always my intention. James Vance said, "The Witch scared the hell out of me. I would not recommend this movie for the weak of heart." The Witch is absolutely terrifying. If you can get through the pace of it, you will definitely have a fright by the end of it. Epsilon Zero said, "Wait, who's the stalker beneath the rainbow?" You will never know. It's Asher Wood from Top 10 Nerd. And on that note, if you haven't already, be sure to give this video a big thumbs up, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss another scary vid. And until next time, see you later.